Financial services providers.
I'm Modern Woodman Regional Director Sean Erickson. Call me at 402-483-6515 to learn about career opportunities.
Modern Woodman of America, touching lives, securing futures.
Go hog wild, pit barbecue.
It's $5.99 barbecue time. Hurry to Hog Wild for a complete barbecue meal that's only $5.99. Get a one-meat sandwich loaded with our award-winning barbecue, plus your choice of a classic side and drink for just $5.99. Upgrade your sandwich to beef brisket for just $1 more. Join us for lunch or dinner in Lincoln at 3210 Cornhusker Highway. Order online at gohogwild.com.
But don't be late, we close at 8.
When you were a kid, clubs were cool. Robotics club and space club and stuff like that. But what do adults get? Book clubs and quilting clubs? Nah, forget that. How about margarita clubs and old-fashioned clubs? Get to Upside Bar and Lounge for the best clubs in town. Try all 10 varieties of Upside margaritas or old-fashions and take home a free souvenir glass. Grab the whole crew and pair it with taco night on Mondays or whiskey Wednesdays. Upside Bar and Lounge at 29th and Pine Lake.
Spring is the time of new beginnings and trying new things. If you haven't tried Führer's cheese spread yet, the time is now. For parties for St. Patrick's Day and Easter or celebrating the NCAA tournament with friends, there's no better dip to bring everyone together and celebrate something from Nebraska. Get to your local grocery store today and load up on Führer's cheese spread. No event or party is complete without it on your table.
Hi everyone, Kendall Warnock, A1 Automotive in downtown Lincoln. Spring is here, summer is fast approaching. With weddings, vacations, and weekend getaways on your mind, do not let car issues prevent you from getting where you need to be. Car problems shouldn't be something that you put up with. Let us get you back on the road in comfort and safety. We diagnose all makes and models from Porsches to Hondas, Toyotas, and Chevrolets. We fix a variety of issues with all of them with our talented techs and our experienced staff. A1 Automotive at 11th and L, downtown Lincoln, always honest answers.
Finally, a good reason to have a smart house. Just say, Alexa, play 93.7 The Ticket, and we'll magically start playing. How's it work? Nobody knows. Don't ask questions. Coming at you live from the heart of Lincoln, America. This is the Power Hour with two-time national champion Todd Uhlir. Powered by Window World of Lincoln and Set the Bar Subs on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
All right, welcome to the Power Hour. I'm your host, Todd. You're here on 90.
If they get to the right,
we've got
media
guest in Coach Denny, my business partner in the STB locker room, and a special guest, Travis Clark. This guy, I can't wait. I can't wait to talk to this guy. This guy, Travis Clark, first degree Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt. All right, 10-time Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu world champ, 4-time Pan Am champ, right? He's a wrestling coach, and that's dear to my heart. My daughter took up wrestling 3 years ago. I think, Travis, you coach girls wrestling?
Yeah, correct.
Yeah, I mean, that absolutely changed my daughter's life the last 3 years. I mean, incredible sport. She really didn't do anything before wrestling. She was an artist. And she's like, Dad, I'm going to go out for wrestling. You think I can? I'm like, yeah, I think you can do anything you want to. And it was one of the most positive things that ever happened to her. So Travis, welcome to the show. I know we kind of threw this on you. So we appreciate you joining the Power Hour. And we kind of want to get into your story. You are being honored tonight in the Hall of Fame, like a Hall of Fame, right?
Correct. So it's the County Hall of Fame here in Northwest Ohio. It's the Hancock County Hall of Fame. There's 6 of us being inducted into it.
That's awesome. I still haven't been inducted into my high school Hall of Fame, and I still have rushing records from 30 plus years ago. But that's cool, man. So kind of tell us your journey, Travis. You're Ohio guy. Grew up in a small town. Awesome, because I grew up in a small town. I had 900 people in my town. And I think a lot of that, we try to get out of there, right? So kind of take us from, I wouldn't say early childhood, but high school and beyond, Marines, jiu-jitsu. Kind of give us your story, bud.
Yeah, so I grew up real small town. but my graduating class was 65 kids. So real small rural area, but I was molded to be a football player, growing up. I was 3-time all conference. I was 2-time all state. I was a state defensive lineman of the year. You name it, I did. It was football. So the fact that my life turned out to be mainly wrestling is, it kind of took a detour. And I was telling the students at my high school yesterday, it all started because of a ham sandwich. After football one day, I went to my cousin's house to raid his refrigerator, and he had the Marine Corps recruiter there. And I never thought about the military, and I walked out, that recruiter locked in on me, and I was 18. So the next day they convinced me, they had me talking to an all-Marine basketball player, and, they're like, hey, if you join, you can do X, Y, Z. So I was like, all right, hell with it. I was like, I'm going to go ahead and sign. And, I think as I got older, subconsciously, I think I was burned out. I played 44 varsity games over 4 years, wrestled thousands of matches. Like, I think I was looking for something different. So, I signed the papers to become a U.S. Marine, got to boot camp on 9/7/2001. So, we all know what happened 4 days after that.
Oh, yeah.
So I was actually in the intake process of boot camp when 9/11 happened.
Wow.
And then, so I went through boot camp, got my job. I was a combat engineer. So basically I built stuff, I blew it up, got assigned to bridge company. So like, if you see any of the early stages of the war, if there's a bridge, we were affiliated with it. So we built all the bridges for the original assault. So I was actually one of the first Americans across the border in 2003. When the deadline hit, I was about 10 minutes off the border. So, and then the next day we started the journey into Iraq. So I spent the first 6 months of the war overseas, and then got back from Iraq, tried out for the All-Marine Greco-Roman team, went to Washington, D.C. and made the team. So I missed my second deployment because I was wrestling, and I spent 2 years doing nothing but wrestling for the Marine Corps. That's where I got my first 3 All-Americans. So I was a 2-time university All-American in Greco-Roman. I was a senior nationals All-American in Greco-Roman. Trained at the Olympic Training Center, traveled all over the country. I got to train people like Rulon and Jamil Byers, so like, the Marine Corps definitely shaped it, because my original plan was to get out, come back home, walk on at Ohio State, see if the football thing was still there. But once I made the Marine Corps wrestling team, I actually ended up coming back, and I wrestled for the University of Findlay. I wrestled there for 4 years. I was a 2-time Division II All-American. But yeah, that's kind of the journey up until there. Graduated in 3 years with a criminal justice degree, got accepted to the FBI, but I had a year of eligibility left. So the football team actually offered to pay for my master's. So I got a master's in education while I was going to school that 4th year. So basically I was student teaching. I was playing college football. I was wrestling in college, taking 30 credit hours all at 27 years old to finish out college. And then job fair landed me down in Texas. So I've been in Dallas-Fort Worth for the last 16 years teaching and coaching.
Awesome. What a journey. What a journey. So you've wrestled Greco-Roman. That's much different than Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I wrestled in high school. I was not great. I preferred football and wrestling. We just got to lift weights after school for wrestling versus our basketball team didn't lift weights. So I went the wrestling route. I got 4th like my senior year, but I hated to lose. But how did you get into Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu?
So once I got to Texas, I think I was bored, honestly. It was about a year in. I was like, man, I need something else to do. So I started jiu-jitsu, won a couple local tournaments, got hurt, kind of got away from it. I was training fighters on top of that. So I trained a couple of MMA fighters. So I stepped away for a few years. And then when I got my current job, I've been at my current high school for the last 11 years. One of the dads that his kid wrestled for me, but he was training another big heavyweight for MMA. So they brought me in to the gym to train this big kid. And then I met the owners, and, from there on out, like for the last 11 years, I've just been traveling, competing. I got the 10 world titles. I've been on Team USA 3 times. I've competed at the ADCC trials, been to Pan Am's 4 times, won those. So
break it up for us here a little bit for people who don't know too much about BJJ. Like, where is that taking you? I mean, is this taking you from Texas to Oklahoma or further than that?
So I'll just talk about the last year in general, because last year was probably my busiest year. I kind of got that that fire lit again. And so in the past year, I've been to Vegas 3 times. I've competed in Las Vegas for the ACC trials. I competed in Vegas for 2 different world championships. I flew to California for Team USA grappling trials to make to my 3rd Team USA. So I did that in California. I went back to Vegas. I did a all military quintet style tournament at the UFC Apex. So I was part of 4 other Marines. We fought the other 4 branches at the Apex. For Team USA, Worlds were in Kazakhstan this year. It's my 2nd time going to Kazakhstan to compete. But, I flew through Germany for a few days, trained with the German team, flew up to Kazakhstan. I was one of only like 3 people that competed in all 4 tournaments. So I competed in both veteran tournaments for my age bracket, won 2 golds there. And then I competed in the senior division with all the like 20-some-year-old kids. And I took bronze in the no-gi tournament, and I went 2-1 in the gi tournament. So I came up short in gi in the senior level tournament, but, came back, and then I flew to Washington, D.C. over the Marine Corps birthday, did another quintet style military tournament, where I met some good Marines, and, we competed there. So, to 2021, Team USA took me to Serbia. So I competed in Serbia that year. But no, jiu-jitsu's just opened up a whole nother avenue of possibilities. I'm the fight to win champion. So fight to win's kind of like a fight card. They're in a different city every week. I think they're actually in Cleveland this week or next week. But I think I'm 10-1 with fight to win. I've already won their title, but so I've done a lot of different things with grappling. It's just kind of filled that void. Once I got done competing in wrestling, I was like, oh, what's next? So I'm about to pick up my 2nd stripe in jiu-jitsu, actually.
So is there weight classes in jiu-jitsu?
Yeah, there's weight classes. I'm actually in the open division, so like mine's unlimited. So I'm walking around about 280. I think the biggest guy I ever went against was about 480.
Whoa, 480?
So, yeah, so there's a big.
That is a big human.
Yeah.
How tall was he?
He was a lot taller than me. He probably had a head on me. So he's probably like 6'6", 6'7".
Wow. Did you see that guy? So he was on Reacher. And I just seen a picture with him and Eddie, strongman Eddie Hall, and a picture of this guy. I forget his nickname, but
he was big.
7'2" and jacked.
No, my original coach was a 6'7" Serbian black belt. So walked around about 290.
That's crazy. So
I was going to say, Coach Todd, one of the things is all that's impressive and that's absolutely amazing, but something that's even more amazing is what's coming next here. So we filled a void there. We're able to do a few things, and we're still competing, so that's not over. But one of the things that I think is very impressive is the give back, the return. How is it you've been returning back? And this is kind of what brought you back to, little old Findlay, Ohio, Macomb, Hoytville. This is what brought you back this weekend. But how have you been giving back and fulfilling that side of your life?
Yeah, so I'm really busy in the coaching side. I said I've been teaching and coaching for 16 years in Texas. I actually started on the east side of Fort Worth. So, like, those who's not familiar with Fort Worth, the east side's where the show Cop started. So, like, really bad neighborhood. I loved it there. I love the community. I love the culture and the people. But a little background there. I moved down there. I chose that school too. But when I interviewed and when I showed up, it's night and day different. But, I was there for 3 years. I started the wrestling program, inner city. It's just a rough situation. They blew up a car during a football game once. Kids were getting shot and stabbed. That was our daily stuff. But I was teaching 7th grade math at the time. So I was like, all right, well, I want to go to the high school. It's hard to teach at the middle school and coach at the high school. So I ended up trying to go to the high school, but I didn't really get along with the football coach much. So I ended up going to another school downtown Fort Worth. I started teaching high school math, and I ran that team. That was my first year coaching women, actually. So year 4 of coaching is when I really got involved with the women's side. I coach both now, but my name's really tied to the girls wrestling around the country. So I taught there for 2 years, and then I had to decide, even though Fort Worth was awesome, I had to decide what kind of coach I wanted to be, and I wanted to be a state championship coach. So I made the decision. The old school Oklahoma coach was about 20 minutes up the road. He'd been watching me. He was getting close to his retirement. So he brought me into the school I'm at now. I've been there 11 years, and I've taught everything in there. I've taught everything within the special ed. I taught at the drug rehab center, kids all around the country that got admitted for addiction. I taught them. I taught at our alternative center where our kids get kicked out of schools. They go to this other school. I taught there. I've worked with our low kids, the Downs, the autistic. I've worked with that population, and I've been teaching math for the last 5 years within the special ed department. But while I was there, or since I've been there, we've ended up with a state title, 2 state runner-ups. We've been state dual champions twice. I've had 4 state champions. We've had 24 state placers, almost 90 state qualifiers. I started the All-American Wrestling Club. We have 89 All-Americans from the club. We've sent over 40 kids to college with, I think right now I have over 20 kids currently wrestling at the college level.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Our little town of Battle Creek, where I grew up, 900 people. I had 50 people in my graduating class. They just went back-to-back state team champions in the boys division. So pretty big wrestling community, and they won the state duels this year for the first time as well. So they won state duels and the state team tournament. So love wrestling. I just wasn't great at it. I preferred football, to be real honest. But yeah, so what really did you, I mean, obviously being in the Marines, you saw a lot of stuff. How do you kind of translate some of that to like the kids today are a lot different, right? My son's playing football at Nebraska right now. I was just at their practice. It looks a lot different than it did in the 90s. Practice does, everything does, right? I would assume that you want your kids to work at a level like you did, right?
Correct.
I mean, how hard is that with today's youth?
So it's definitely changed. I did an interview a few weeks ago, and they asked about coaching high school and coaching club. And, one of the comments I made that people's like, that makes sense, is high school, they choose to do high school sports. Like, oh, cool, I'm going to go for the wrestling team. But when they pay that extra to go to club, they're like, no, I'm going to be a wrestler. So I see just the difference from my club kids to my high school kids. But I currently have an assistant. She's in her second year with me. She was actually a sophomore when I took the job at this current school. So she went through old school me 11 years ago, straight up hardcore Marine, like, okay, you screwed up. We're running sprints. We're doing this. We're doing that. And so when she came in last year, she came in like I was back 11 years ago. I'm not like that no more because, like you said, kids have changed. And she was getting a lot of kickback from the kids. And she's like, I don't really understand it. This is how we've always been, She's like, why are they not? I was like, I've had to adjust with the population. So like, she's like, well, you're so much softer. I was like, I'm not softer. I still have the same expectations. It's just we can't come down hard on them like we used to. But we can get our point across. So like, the kids still want to meet my expectations. It's just I can't sit there and scream at them. I can't sit there and punish them. Like that doesn't resonate with today's population. But I can sit there and have a conversation with them and really like I found it easier to talk it through with this new generation of kid than to actually just punish them for it. Because I think kids nowadays need to understand why. Well, why? When we were growing up, there was no why. It was go do it.
Yeah, do it.
Go do it or.
Yeah.
Go do it or. Yeah. And we all know what the or was.
Right. So
yeah. How do you help them stack those wins? I mean, you say you're going to talk them through it, and I get that. So for me, what I've seen is when you help stack the wins, you kind of paint a picture of what it can be. And it's like, hey, I want to be a champion. Okay, great. Well, when do you want to do it? I want to do it this year. Okay, well, here's what it's going to take to get to that. Are you willing to do that work? And that's kind of how we've had to do things in the past. Is it similar for you? And trust me, raise your hand if you felt that pushback, because we all have. Hey, moms and dads, if you're listening, stop what you're doing, pay attention, grab a pencil, and listen to Coach Travis, because this here is going to help you out with your kids at home or in high school or in sports. Pay attention, because he's dropping golden nuggets.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just making sure they know that you care. I think that's how I've changed through the last 16 years is – and I've been fortunate to train a lot of high-level athletes, a lot of athletes that's went on to do bigger and better things. And, I've created an atmosphere of belonging. Like this year alone, I had a cheerleader, 2 soccer players, a volleyball player, and a swimmer come to my team because they didn't feel like their team was a home environment. And they would just hang out with our team and be like, it's so different, right? Yeah. Trying to create that safe space, but a safe space of, hey, you come, you're going to work, so like, I think just them being able to relax and be like, all right, I'm gonna go in there and work hard. And I don't talk about winning and losing. I talk about working towards our goals. I talk about, hey, you know what, here's our goal. You may come up short. So I never tell a kid they fail either. Like you can do everything right from November to February and still come up short from the state title. Like I'm not promising you anything. I'm promising that if you keep working, then you're going to do great things later in life. And, with the parents, I tell them, I was like, hey, your job's an easy job. Let me yell at them and you just lift them back up. Like your only job is to be there and hug your child. I was like, let me worry about the success of that child, and, one thing I brought up, I had a girl, she had a great state tournament until she made a very big mistake. And she's in my office crying the next week. And she's like, well, no coach is going to want me now, and I was like, well, I was working on my resume for this Hall of Fame today. And I pulled up my high school wrestling stuff. And I was like, what's that say? And she's like, 2-time state qualifier. I was like, does it say anything else? She's like, no. I was like, but what have I went on to do on the mats? I was like, what you do in high school, because like I said, high school is all about football for me. But my life is all about wrestling, so I showed her that. I was like, look, I didn't do nothing in high school in wrestling. I was like, but now look what I've done since then. I was like, what you are now is not going to dictate who you are years down the road, but those are the kind of conversations I have, just really helping them process their emotions and their feelings. What we call them crash outs on our team, but I think I had more crash outs this year than we've had the last 15 years, just kids not being able to process their emotions and do stuff. And that's where we as coaches come in, So like my young assistant, she's like, it's so different, but now I'm having to teach her. And I have another assistant that's male trying to teach them how to handle these kids. Yeah. It's like, is it really the kid's fault? Or, like we just got to be there and we got to look at all the situations. With me teaching inner city, there's so many home situations that I have to take into consideration when I'm dealing with the kid. Like, it's not just about wrestling, so I have a philosophy with my team. It's called the 3 B's: be a good person, be a good student, be a good athlete. So like everything I do, I tie it back to those 3 B's. And it's like, look, if you're a good person, then you should be a good student. If you're a good student, then that's going to open up more opportunities for you. And then lastly, you're an athlete. So be a good athlete. But if you're meeting the first 2, you don't even have to try for the third one. So like that's a philosophy I use. And then I had a poster made for my office because I was going to go coach collegiate wrestling a couple years ago and I pulled out last minute. But basically on my poster on the left side, it has a bunch of my girls through the years where they're at a low point. They lost a big match. They came up short, whatever it may be. So they're crying, whatever, on the left side. And on the right side, it's them winning national titles, becoming a state champion, whatever, jumping in my arms, And at the top of the poster, it says, no one remembers the person who's fallen. And then at the bottom, it says, everyone remembers the person that got back up. So it doesn't matter what I'm talking to them about. That is exactly all I do is point to the poster and be like, look, cool, we came up short. What are we going to do now? How are we going to get back? Yeah. So that's awesome. Kind of what I use my philosophy of coaching with.
That's awesome. Yeah. You guys can't see this, but I just got goosebumps from that. That was,
it reminds me of so many kids from high school, when it's helping out with the wrestling. And, one of the things that Coach Todd and I, and I'm sure you know this too, is they don't care about what you know until they know that you care. And that resounds true with Coach Trav, and he's unlocked a little secret on how to get to him. So I hope people are definitely listening today on this. Because it's that simple. You just got to follow the steps, and each kid's a little bit different. Wouldn't you say?
Yeah, I mean, all the kids are different. Just making yourself available. But I spent a lot of time trying to build relationships with the parents too. So a lot of my closest friends down there, I actually coached their kids. And one of my closest friends, he's like a brother to me. He just legally adopted his daughter. And they made me her godfather last week, and this is a young lady I've been coaching since she was in 7th grade. She's 19 now. She's actually house sitting for me for my dog. But, I spend time trying to build relationships with the parents too. Like, I'm not just a coach. Like, you know what? I'm someone you can come to no matter what.
That should have been on the promo, Coach Todd, right there. I mean,
right.
Let's be honest. Being named a godfather beats all 10 world titles right there.
Yeah. Right. All right, guys, we got to take a quick break here on the Power Hour. We'll be back with 10-time world champion Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu Travis Clark, and we're going to hear some more about some of his amazing stories and his philosophies, the 3 Bs. I'm writing that down. Be a good person, be a good student, be a good athlete. Love it. We'll be back right after these messages here on 93.7 The Ticket.
Hi, Sean Callahan here of HuskerOnline.com, inviting you to join us here on 93.7 The Ticket every Saturday morning. Now in our new time, we're on from 8 to 9 with the weekly Husker Online radio show. We'll give you the latest in recruiting. We'll talk about what's going on with both football, basketball, and we'll probably share a few stories from the inside. It's every Saturday morning right here on 93.7 The Ticket. It's the Husker Online radio show from 8 to 9 a.m.
Hey farmers, if you don't already, you need to get to know the guys at Boyk Farm Outfitters. If you're ready to turn your sprayer into a money-saving smart machine, they can hook you up. If you just want to get your chemicals from some good guys that care about your operations goals, they want to chat. They work with progressive growers all over eastern Nebraska to assist with equipment upgrades and input options. Boyk Farm Outfitters is equipping the modern farmer. Check them out at Boyk, B-O-E-C-K, farmoutfitters.com.
Discover the difference that expertise and experience can make in your real estate journey with Next Ag Appraisal and Realty. Whether you need an appraisal, sales, or farm management, Next Ag comes up with a solution with your legacy and goals in mind. Next Ag isn't just their name, it's your future. So why wait? Visit their website today at www.nextagrealestate.com or give them a call at 402-380-0432 and turn your dreams into reality. Your land, your legacy, their solutions. Next Ag Appraisal and Realty.
Authentic Mexican food is not always easy to find, but you can find it in Lincoln at Tacos Los Hermanos. Their birria tacos are worth the drive from anywhere in town, but their chicken, chorizo, al pastor, and asada tacos are also worth the trip. You can also try any of those meats in a burrito or quesadilla. You won't find a better toppings bar in the area or better dessert options. If you can't get there, don't worry, they do deliver as well. Stop by Tacos Los Hermanos for lunch or dinner today at 70th and Havelock Streets in Lincoln.
Perch Merch is your one-stop shop for all your printing and promotional needs in Lincoln, Nebraska. They specialize in screen printing, embroidery, vehicle wraps, window wraps, print collateral, promotional products, and signage. At Perch Merch, they are committed to delivering high-quality products and exceptional customer service. Their experienced team of designers and printing professionals will work with you every step of the way to ensure that your vision is realized. Call for a quote today at 402-217-5212 or go to perch-merch.com.
A lot of businesses say they're family focused, but when tough situations in life arise, the business wants anything but your best interests. James Enterprise Incorporated is hiring, and they will always treat their employees like family, just as they do their customers. James Enterprise Incorporated is hiring Class A and B CDL drivers, a shop tech, and a diesel mechanic. If you're looking for a career with a company that goes above and beyond to value you and your family, apply today at jamesenterpriseinc.com or call 402-432-6740. Wrestling fans, it's time to elevate your game, just like Stevens & Smith Construction does for your concrete needs. As your full-service concrete contractor, we deliver solid results every time. From singles to doubles, fighting for inside position to scrambling reversals, we know how to pin down quality and slam expectations. Stevens & Smith Construction, a proud sponsor of Takedown Tuesdays on 93.7 The Ticket. where Husker wrestlers bring you all the action. Don't stall. Stevens & Smith Construction is here to help you build a concrete foundation for the win. Check us out at www.stevensandsmith.com because stalling is a penalty and winning is the only option.
John Henry's has a brand new membership club to protect your entire home in one program. With a VIP and a deluxe option, we will help you find the plan that best fits your needs. Receive discounts on services and equipment, priority service, complimentary inspections, and so much more. Protect your home's plumbing, heating, cooling, and electrical systems all in one membership. Call John Henry's to learn more.
435-5555. John Henry's Plumbing, Heating and Air.
And electrical.
If you're in Seward or Milford, listen up. Select Plumbing is now servicing your area with no trip charges from Lincoln. Select Plumbing works on a variety of issues for your home and business, including general plumbing, water heaters, faucet fixture repair, underground sewer and water repairs, backflow testing, and more. Keep your property free from leaks and other issues. Call today for a free estimate at 402-560-6197. It's not just Lincoln, Waverly, and the surrounding area anymore. It's also Seward and Milford with no trip charges. Contact Select Plumbing to inquire at 402-560-6197.
93.7 The Ticket is proud to provide listeners with daily opportunities to win contests and prizes on our airwaves, and would like to take this opportunity to remind you of a couple rules. All participants must be 21 or older and must wait 30 days after winning a prize to participate in another contest. Once you win, you have 30 days to pick up your prize at the KNTK Studios, 1040 O Street in Lincoln, or your prize will be forfeited. Thank you for participating in our contests, and thank you for listening to 93.7 The Ticket.
Back to the Power Hour with Todd Uhlir on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
I think I want to do that. Can we do a short book with it?
All right, we're back here. Segment 2 of the Power Hour. I'm your host, Todd Uhlir. I've got Coach Denny and Coach Travis on the line with me. I want to jump into something real quick. Nebraska basketball is leading at halftime over Boise State, 39-33. Bryce Williams is being Bryce Williams, leading the team in scoring and everything else. He's awesome. We're going to miss that guy next year. Just quick update in Husker land here. So, Travis, I want to talk a little bit about wrestling in Texas, all right? I know in Nebraska, Iowa, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, even probably Ohio, like high school wrestling is like that's the states, right? Minnesota. It's more known in those states probably for, and then college, if you follow college at all, Nebraska just had its highest placing ever at the tournament, getting runner up. We had 2 national champions. So wrestling is a pretty big topic in Nebraska now. We got a lot of guys coming back next year. Penn State's just been unreal the last decade or so, but tell me about high school wrestling in Texas.
So when I moved down there 16 years ago, like it was small. Like there was one conference for a state of that size. It was next to impossible to even qualify because they had so many districts and regionals because they only took like 2 out. And where I'm at in DFW, like that's
one
kind of the hot
conference for Texas.
Yes.
Did you all hear that? One conference for Texas.
Yeah. Well,
that's huge. That's crazy.
Well, that's kind of like California too. They still only have one. So we have 2 now. So we have big school division and we have 2, or then we have our small school division, but they're trying to add a 3rd finally. So a lot of people like me who grew up north, grew up wrestling and stuff, they're starting to move down there. So through the last 16 years, a lot of outside Texans have come down, and that's pushed the growth of Texas wrestling. But we were actually one of the first to put women's wrestling as its own sport. So I think that, don't quote me on this, like 99 or 2000 was when women's wrestling was recognized in Texas. I think we're the second state to do it. So we're known for our women's wrestling. Our men's still kind of lacks a little bit when you look at it from the upper level. What we've had, Bo Nickel and them come out of Texas and a few others, but as a whole, the men's still is playing catch up, but our women have went on and rock and rolled. And, I spent 4 years as first 2 years I was the head coach, and the last 2 years I was the director of the Texas women's national team. And while I was coaching them, we won a national title in freestyle. We won 2 national titles in folk style. But, that's kind of where me coaching women kind of come about. But
So do you think that, obviously Texas is known for their high school football, right?
Mhm.
So, I mean, we all know that they unbelievable players come out of Texas, and a lot of money's poured into Texas high school football. Do you think that really deters kids from coming out for wrestling?
That's part of it. The biggest problem that I've realized, like I have 90 kids on my team and only like 4 football players. It's because I don't actively recruit football players because there's so much overlap in the seasons that like our team made 3rd round of playoffs or 4th round of playoffs this year, and it was almost Christmas already.
Oh wow!
So by the time I get these kids, like it's not fair to the rest of my kids. And when I have a team of that size, like if I get it, like I'm training one of the top offensive linemen in the whole in the whole country right now. He's down to his final. He had 30 D1 offers as a junior, but he came to my room weighing 360 pounds.
Ohio State, Coach. Ohio State, please.
Nebraska will take him. We need small linemen.
Hey, Coach Todd,
we can't hear you, bud.
But a big Tongan kid, so I work with our football players, but not necessarily in a wrestling standpoint. But yeah, there's so much overlap, but the cool thing about Texas compared to other states, so I teach 5 periods a day. My first 2 periods are math. Then I have my conference period, and then I have 2 periods of wrestling. So I get my wrestlers every single day for the entire year. So that's where the rules in Texas are a little bit different compared to other states.
Hey, real quick, I got to share this. Is this all right, Coach Todd?
Yeah.
Tell us about what would possibly be next in a perfect world with Coach Travis. This isn't today, but what would something that you would enjoy and like to see in Texas? Take us down that road, Coach.
You got to give me some hints here.
Like the national championships, stuff like
we
that.
Just talked about it.
Yeah. So we actually just got our first. Well, they're going to be the first D1 wrestling program in Texas. Carleton State. They were a club team this year, and then we have a couple other D3 programs.
Being able to help the kids out maybe throughout the day.
Okay. So so my retirement goal is to have my own gym, and then that gym. So with the way public education is going, more and more parents are choosing to go homeschool. So they're homeschooling their kids. So what I want to do is have 2 sections. I have one section would be homeschool section where I have certified teachers in there to kind of facilitate the child through their studies. The other section would be the training section. So you drop your kid off at 8 a.m. We make sure their homeschooling gets done so the parents don't have to deal with it. Their training gets done during the day. You pick them up at 5. You're no longer sitting in a jiu-jitsu gym or a wrestling gym till 9 o'clock at night, and you get your family time back. So
all these kids that have typically 2 parents working, struggling to pay the bills, trying to get things done, working all these different hours, they don't see their parents. They're out in the streets. They're out playing. Maybe they're on Xboxes. Maybe they're on their iPhones. You're telling me that you found a way to help bridge that gap to get these kids some decent education to where they're going to be well-mannered and to where they can build that relationship back with their parents. And literally you're doing it from the kids to the parents because the parents don't even see this.
Yeah, absolutely. Because teachers are fleeing the field. Like teachers can't, they don't want to be in the class. It's not that they don't love the profession. They just, they don't want to be in the classroom because
their hands are tied.
Yeah. Well, and it's getting violent, a kid just got stabbed up the road from us at a track meet last week.
That was close to you guys?
That was 20 minutes away,
God,
and then, we had a vicious assault, like the schools are becoming dangerous. So these teachers are leaving, but they still love the profession. So this is another way. Hey, you can stay in the profession, but you're going to work for me now. And you're going to help facilitate this homeschool program. And, these kids are going to get their educations and stuff like that.
Well, I think there's going to be a long list of teachers that's going to want to work with you on that, Travis. I don't think there's going to be a shortage of teachers that are coming your way for that.
Yep.
Love it.
I was just literally at football practice, and they had the coaches clinic for football, high school coaches clinic. And I was talking to the Oakland Craig coach, who I know pretty well. And I'm like, how's it looking next year? He's like, man, we're losing. Like, I can't keep coaches. We can't get teachers. And this is a small community, Class C2 here in Nebraska. 40, 50 kids in the class. That's it. And, they're struggling with that here in Nebraska. That sounds like a dream come true to me, Denny, to be able to build the gym and
I
do that.
think it needs to be
sounds
franchised
awesome.
all
Yeah, it
across
needs
the
to be
United
franchised.
States.
Yeah,
There's so many
yeah.
kids dropping through the cracks.
Yeah.
Well, they have a new wrestling thing called Beat the Streets. I don't know if you've heard of it, but they have it all over the country. They're getting ready to start one in Austin. I've talked to them, but they have it in LA. They have it in Chicago. But basically, that's those at-risk kids where, it's a non-profit, but they get them off the streets. They put them on these wrestling mats. But that's another thing that they're really doing in the wrestling community. So just a little shout out to those guys because, it's been around for a few years and, they're doing big things.
Love it.
Absolutely.
Hey, Coach Travis, if you don't mind, I have a quick question for you. Say somebody, there's a lot of these programs that you do and it's for free, right? And you help all these people out. Do you happen to have like a link or a PayPal or a Venmo? Do you happen to have anything like that we can go ahead and post on the YouTube channel and whatnot, just for down the road in case somebody wants to donate and help out?
At this time, not for donations. I don't. I got my LLC that I use and stuff like that. But I'm fortunate that I have a lot of volunteers. They do it for free. They do it for the love of the sport. I have my military benefits, my teaching benefits. So I don't really ask for anything in return. I just want to see the kids succeed. I have all of those college kids that come home and help and give back and everything. So, if people need help, we figure it out. Our programs are close family. We make sure that they're taken care of.
Awesome.
Sounds like a very tight-knit community that looks out for each other. And that's what, we talk about inside of our STB locker room programs is the same kind of philosophy with 40-plus-year-olds. So, but, that's really, really awesome. And so two divisions, I want to kind of go back to that because Nebraska girls, they just sanctioned high school wrestling 4 years ago. So it's been 4 years. So they just had their first 4-time state champ. And so it's only been 4 years. So 2021 was the first year sanctioned wrestling. And we actually have 2 divisions for the girls now. We have 4 divisions for the boys and in Nebraska. And I mean, our population, Dallas, Fort Worth's a bigger population than Nebraska. It's bigger.
So I think we got 8 million people in DFW.
Yeah, there's 2 million people in Nebraska total, the entire state. Maybe I don't know, maybe 1 million in Omaha, 500,000 in Lincoln, and another 500,000 everywhere else. We're pretty small, pretty rural. So that just, like you said, to get a state champion, they have to go through a lot. How many matches are these guys wrestling or girls wrestling?
So Texas is large, but it doesn't necessarily mean every town has a team.
Right.
So the last few years we've been pushing. I think at our state tournament this year, and I'm just going to guess, but I don't think there was more in the 6A division, the big school division, maybe 120 teams. But yeah, the state tournament's just a 16-person bracket.
Right.
So we go through districts, top 4 in districts, advance to regionals. My district's only 11 teams, so it's not very hard to make regionals. And then regionals, there's probably about 60 schools altogether, but top 4. So it's just a 16-person bracket there. Top 4 advance to state, and then they only place the top 6 at state.
Okay.
So, we're growing, and that's why a lot of the small schools are starting to get wrestling. But one of our biggest problems, you talked about coaches up there. In order to coach high school sports, you have to be a high school teacher. So that's one of the big problems that we have is I have club coaches, but they can't help me during high school season because they
can't help you at all.
No, unless it's a club practice. So there's some gray area in there for me to play around with. But yeah, for sanctioned UIL. So UIL is what our state is, but
so in Nebraska,
high school tournament, it has to be a high school teacher coach.
So in Nebraska,
we need to get that changed.
Yeah. So in Nebraska, the head coach has to be a teacher, and nobody else has to be.
That's how it is here in Ohio too.
Battle Creek has 8 assistant coaches, maybe 10, and none of them. Well, I shouldn't say none. A couple of them are teachers. but a lot of them are not teachers. They own businesses. They, those kinds of things. And
I'm going to say 100% that in Ohio, and I'm not going to name the different school systems or the different sports, I have seen some head coaches that I never see at the practices because the assistant coach is taking care of that. So at least that's a good thing. And I understand why these things are in place, but on the same token, we need to make sure it's about the kids, right?
Yeah, right. Definitely. And, this day and age, I don't think, 1-2 coaches are pretty. You got 90 kids in your wrestling room?
I have 90 kids, and this is my first year having 2 full. So I'm lucky. I have 2 full-time assistants with no other sport. But this is the first year they actually gave me another assistant. So, I have about 90, but I'm graduating 23 this year. I had a huge senior class. Awesome. But I'll average anywhere from 70 to 90 on average.
With 3 coaches in there.
With 3 coaches.
That's man, you got
a revolving door of past, we have a revolving door of past players coming back and giving back, which that's just a testament to what Coach Travis is doing.
Building. Yeah,
if they're willing to come back and donate their time, it's because they care and it meant something to them. So I don't see any end in sight.
Yeah,
especially with the way we're rocking and rolling.
Absolutely. We got to take one more short break, and we're going to come back and wrap up the Power Hour here on 93.7 The Ticket. We're with Denny Kidwell and Travis Clark They're out in Ohio. Okay, I know we're in Huskerland here, where the station is, but love having guys from all over the country come on to the Power Hour and talk about what's going on outside of Nebraska. It's awesome to hear. And actually, Kevin lives in Texas. He's from Ohio, but lives in Texas. So, we're talking about some, when we're in Huskerland, those are kind of teams that we don't like, but we're all on the same team today. So appreciate it. We'll be back after these messages here on the Power Hour.
Hey, what are you talking about over there?
Huh?
I said, what are you talking about?
Bill, I think it's time for both of us to get our hearing checked. We should head over to Christensen Hearing Analytics.
Oh, yeah, I've heard about them. They offer a free hearing consultation and screening, affordable hearing aid prices, and a knowledgeable staff with over 30 years of experience.
Visit Christensen Hearing Analytics today in Williamsburg Village or give them a call at 402-489-3450. Christensen Hearing Analytics. A better life starts with better hearing.
Hey, you. Yeah, you. Now's the perfect time to get even stronger at Planet Fitness. Save $28 or more when you join today for just $1 down, $15 a month. Mix up your routine or create a customized workout plan with free fitness training. That's right. Certified trainers, unlimited sessions with best-in-class equipment. Plus, there's over 2,700 convenient locations to choose from, with most open 24 hours. Save $28 or more today when you join Planet Fitness for just $1 down, $15 a month. Cancel anytime. Deal ends April 11th. See Home Club for details.
What a day. I could sure use an afternoon pick-me-up. Hold up. The new 93.7 The Ticket location has a milk, coffee, and tea inside? Oh, yeah. This is a game changer. Need an afternoon pick-me-up? How about a coffee or smoothie on your way to work? Stop by the Ticket Mill location on 1040 O Street to get your go-to drink or try out our new game day drinks exclusive to the Ticket Mill location. We know it'll make your day a million times better.
Unearth the secret to long-lasting tires at Tread's Central Tire Pros, a league apart in commitment, service, and expertise. This isn't just about rubber meeting the road, but trust, safety, and surety converging in perfect harmony. This is where expectations are exceeded every time. Make your appointment today at Tread's Central Tire Pros, just south of Cortland on Highway 77, or visit our website to explore our services. Remember, when it comes to tires, choose Tread's Central Tire Pros because we tread differently.
At Valentino's, we're on a mission for tradition. On every slice, for every bite. Golden baked crust, cooked to perfection every time. Savory sweet sauce that's made from our own secret recipe. Loaded with the perfect amount of fresh toppings and melty mozzarella cheese. It's the tradition that Nebraskans have come to love. From game day to every day. Valentino's. Taste the tradition.
Experience the Landmark difference with the next level of dealer support. Landmark, your local John Deere dealer, continually works to have parts on hand the first time you walk in the door. Our internal route system means we can get the parts to you typically same or next day to keep you up and running. At Landmark, we understand time is money. Get more uptime with our after-hours parts and service support on the phone or in the field. Stop by your local Landmark today to experience the Landmark difference.
Love is in the air, and so are big savings. It's the Big I Do event at Sartor Heyman Jewelers, South Point Pavilions, April 4th through the 6th. For 3 days only, enjoy 20% off all engagement rings and wedding bands, plus exclusive bridal collections from our top designers. Whether you're saying yes or I do, shop now for the year's best prices and selection. April 4th through 6th, Sartor Heyman Jewelers, South Point Pavilions.
Hi, it's Joel Norman, the voice of your Lincoln Stars hockey team. Tune in to 93.7 The Ticket to hear the latest on the Stars with myself, head coach Rocky Russo, and special player guests.
Shopping for new flooring is different today. Getting your questions answered, making the right selection, getting the best value, and installed quickly and professionally. Visit ostreetcarpet.com or shop our store. We'll answer all your questions and help you make the right choice. You'll be enjoying your new floor in just days for less than you'd pay elsewhere. Carpet, vinyl, wood, laminate, tile, and area rugs. We've got it all.
O Street Carpet.
1732 O Street. Family owned and operated. Always the best value.
Wall to Wall Wine and Spirits is your place in North Lincoln to go for all your needs in wine, spirits, and beer. They also have a large variety of cigars in their walk-in humidor, and they have a top-notch walk-in temperature-controlled high-end wine room. Plus, you can enjoy free samples from their tasting bar. There's only one place to go for all your needs for spirits and cigars. That's Wall to Wall Wine and Spirits on North 27th Street in Lincoln.
Back to the Power Hour with Todd Uhlir on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
All right, we're back here on the Power Hour. I'm your host, Todd Uhlir. We got one last segment here. I am with Coach Denny and Coach Travis. Travis, a 10-time Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu world champ. Tell us a little bit about this 4-time Pan Am champ. What's that all entail?
So basically in jiu-jitsu, there's gi and there's no gi. And everyone thinks because I'm a wrestler that I focus on no gi, but that's most of my world championships came in the gi actually. Because once I was able to take my wrestling and apply the grips, to where I could really control someone, then, I just kind of took it and ran from there. But so Pan Ams is just what they call it, but it's basically like South America, North America, Canada. So it's that, and because of the time of year, I can't do a lot of Pan Ams because it's during wrestling season. So that's why it's only 4. And I can't do a lot of no-gi world championships because it's during wrestling season. So I just won my second black belt no-gi world championship a few months ago. And all my world championships for the most part are at the masters divisions. So, old man stuff. But,
old man stuff. I have some old man. I have some masters powerlifting records. So I got you.
Yeah. Well, what I tell people is I say in jiu-jitsu, it's all the originals. It's like all the OGs are now in my bracket. So like I beat a couple black belts where they've been a black belt longer than I've been doing jiu-jitsu, it's because they're the first and the originals.
Yeah.
That brought it over here from Brazil. A lot of my close friends are Brazilian. I teach a lot for the Brazilians, but because it's starting to change. And this is where the jiu-jitsu world's changing is traditional jiu-jitsu. There wasn't a lot of takedowns. So all your black belts, everything like that, they never learned takedowns. So they're unable to teach takedowns now. So now like I have 4 or 5 jiu-jitsu camps lined up for June where they're hiring me to come in and do basically a takedown clinic. So and that's why, my brand's Clark Grappling and not Clark Jiu-Jitsu is because I have more of the Americanized Jiu-Jitsu. In Eastern Europe, they go by grappling gi, grappling no gi. So it's not necessarily called Jiu-Jitsu overseas. And I'm basically a top game guy. So I've won those 10 world titles. I've been on my back once.
Oh, wow.
So I don't go, if someone puts me on my back, they're working hard.
So you don't want to meet this guy in a dark alley.
So basically, my style is very unorthodox compared to the traditional style. But like it's opened up a whole nother side gig for me where I go into these camps and clinics and just teach my game.
Wasn't there a guy back in the day who was unorthodox to everybody else? I can't quite think of his name. Some Bruce guy.
When I think of
Bruce guy.
Bruce Lee,
yeah.
Maybe
he ended up doing pretty good stuff.
Well, and when I think of jiu-jitsu, I think of, for me, the Gracies, right? Hoist Gracie and those guys. That's what I think of, little skinny guys, that's just what I think of, right? Because I'm not in that world. You don't look like a typical jiu-jitsu guy to me when I look at your picture.
More of a Shamrock.
Yeah, more of a Ken Shamrock. Yeah. So, all right, I got a couple questions before we got to end the show. So, grew up in Ohio, you've been in Texas, the last 16 years?
16 years now.
Favorite college football team?
Ohio State.
Okay, Ohio State. I figured that. Favorite pro football team?
I don't really follow pro sports. So I can't really say that.
Okay.
But growing up, I was a Giants fan growing up.
Giants fan in Ohio, huh?
Danny's a Cleveland Browns Cowboy fan, but we had Farmer Vision, so that's all that was on TV. Danny White, and I'm kind of dating myself here, but Ed Too Tall Jones, that's all that was on TV.
Yeah. So,
our guy running the board right now, Jackson Kleinschmidt, is wearing a Cowboys t-shirt. That's why I brought up. I
don't know. The Cowboys aren't happy right now. So
the Cowboys are struggling.
We're not very happy right now.
I was going to say that the stadium is 5 minutes from my high school.
Oh yeah, I've been there a couple times. So we watched the
50-yard thing plenty of times.
Big 12. Have you been to a Texas Longhorns football game?
Nope, I haven't made it down to Austin yet. So
okay.
Todd,
okay, I've been there.
Let's
we got to go to a game down there. It's a pretty cool. So I love college football. Absolutely love it. I played it. Got to play it at a really high level. Win a couple national championships. So and then my older brother played. My little brother played. My son's playing. My brother-in-law played college football.
Well, they just invested a lot of money into that stadium too. Like they were doing a whole lot of stuff.
So I've been to a lot of states. I think we play Penn State this year. Nebraska does out in Happy Valley. I believe that's this year. I don't know. With this new expanded Big Ten, it's kind of cool. We're playing some different places. But I was out at Ohio State last year when Nebraska almost beat Ohio State. It was
never invited again.
Yeah. And in 2 years before that, I was there when Ohio State lost to Michigan in the 1-2. So Denny said, I can't come back out. I'm not allowed in the horseshoe anymore.
I root for Nebraska now. I do love Nebraska football. I've got this newfound love for it. But Todd, I really don't want you in the Ohio State stadium anymore.
We'll have to get Coach Denny and Coach Travis out to a Nebraska game. So I take it you've been to Ohio State games, correct, Travis?
I've been to a handful. I was able to take my dad a couple years for the first time. So
that's awesome.
That was pretty cool.
So when on my way out, everybody's telling the first time I went to the horseshoe, I'm on my way out and everybody's telling me, oh, just wait till there's no other experience like the horseshoe. I'm like, guys, I grew up with Memorial Stadium in Nebraska. Like literally there is nothing else here but Nebraska football, period. That's all we talk about. That's all we think about. I mean, Memorial Stadium, when we're rocking, there's no other place on earth like it. I have a video on my Facebook page of the Colorado game last year. I mean, it went stupid viral. I think like 700,000 views, which is stupid viral for me. Normally I get like 70, right? So it's a pretty magical experience. So you guys will have to come out and check that out. Especially, I don't think we'll be playing. We play Ohio State comes here in a couple years, I believe. So maybe that's when we'll all hook up. Coaches is when Ohio State comes to Nebraska in a couple years. We'll get both of you out here to Memorial Stadium, so you can check out big old Nebraska. It's I
say I've been up there a few times because they hold nationals up there.
Oh yeah.
I have a buddy that wants me to come up and do a wrestling / grappling camp too. So yeah, maybe make my way up there sometime soon.
We take our wrestling in Nebraska pretty darn seriously. So we've got a lot of really good young club teams, different things. They'll wrestle year round. They're crazy.
Y'all's women are really starting to step up too and make some noise.
The women as well. Yep, definitely going in the right direction. And like I said, for my daughter, and I know you can attest to this, Coach Travis, that it's changed their lives.
Absolutely.
Because I remember going to the first girls wrestling tournament for my daughter. She was a sophomore, and I walked in and there was 500 girls wrestling. And out of those 500 girls, there might have been a handful or two handfuls that could even potentially even play basketball. What were these girls doing if they weren't wrestling?
Yep.
Right. And now they have a team. Now they have workouts. Now they have discipline. Now they have coaching, right? Now they have life lessons. And I, grateful that you helped build that in Texas. And I know it's only going to get better and better down there. So, I want to thank you for joining me. We'll have you on again. And like I said, we'll have to get you up here sometime to Memorial Stadium, because it's always everybody's first time is pretty spectacular. But yeah, Coach Denny, thanks for joining me. Coach Travis, keep doing what you're doing and changing the world for positive. I love it. And once again, appreciate you guys for joining us. And we'll be back next week with another Power Hour here on 93.7 The Ticket. That's all I got. God bless. Much love. Peace out.
Yeah, it's good stuff, man.